All right, last part 3. Let's see. So the last one, the world was destroyed by Dalamud, all the awesome stuff.
Hello and welcome to the final part of our fantastical tale. We sit on the eve of the rebirth of Square Enix's new world. Almost exactly 3 years after the original catastrophic launch, Eorzea was going to be getting a second chance. But this time, everybody knew it wasn't going to be getting a third.
I gotta go to Japan at some point.
Once Dalamud had struck, Yoshida-san moved the 1.x patch team into the main team working on a Realm Reborn, taking lessons from contemporary MMOs, feedback from players over the 1.x phase, and elements that worked from the original version. They crafted a modern Final Fantasy XIV set in a vibrant world that reflected the energy of the franchise. And for Yoshida-san and some other members of the team, this was going to be a very public thing, as they took the short train ride from the office in Shinjuku to Shibuya to take part in a very special launch event.
その渋谷のイベントへ向かうために朝電車に乗ってた。いよいよ発売日かって思いながらその電車に乗っていたらちょうどそのドアの近くに立ってたんですよ。そしたらそのドアの僕は右側に立ってたんだけど、左側に立っていた男の子、多分大学生ぐらいだと思うんだけど、緑の綺麗な男の子がすっと僕のところに寄ってきて
He knew.
小声で「吉田さんですよね」本当に発売おめでとうございますってプレイヤーですって言われたんですよ。
That's
で
cool.
そんな状況でそのイベントを始めて、でみんなでそのここまで来る話をステージでしていて、最後マイクが当たってきて話をしようとしたら、その朝そう言われたことをちょっと思い出しちゃって、いやいろいろあったなって思ったら言葉に詰まっちゃった瞬間に、その来てたプレイヤーたちお客さんたちがこう頑張れって言われちゃって、もう昨日もちょっと話したように MMO って発売してもそれがゴールじゃないスタートなので、なんかあんまり感傷に浸ってる暇なんて本来ないんだけど、思わずこうプレイヤーにこう頑張れって言われたせいで泣けてきちゃって、恥ずかしかったですね。
運営を続けていこうと思います。本当にありがとうございます。そしてこれからもどうぞよろしくお願いします。
Honestly, tears at that point aren't embarrassing. It's pretty good going to do what they did. $105 million loss in 2013. I know that song. 10 out of 10.
Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn is a great MMORPG experience on both PC and PlayStation 3. Grounded in tradition and learning from the lessons of the games that preceded it, it thrives on the strengths of its excitingly varied and flexible class system and highly mobile combat.
The game's rough launch is mostly over, but you still might have to contend with login errors. But this is, by and large, a very good massively multiplayer game, filled with lots of stuff to do, gorgeous vistas to behold, and lots of adorable narrative touches.
The challenge ahead for Square is to achieve the delicate balance of questing,
That was the
dungeons,
Conjurer
and
guy,
fates
right?
for the second half of the leveling process, as well as it has the first. But considering the
8.6.
stunning reversal of fortune that Square has achieved here, it seems like anything is possible.
So what was it like?
It's pretty bad for IGN nowadays,
after,
though.
you know, years of working on this.
You get
game,
anything below a 9.
having the
it's-
launch, basically being required to work on 2 separate games at the same time, patching one and then building an entirely new one, almost in secret for a large part of it. Like, what was it like reading reviews and reading message boards when people were like, "Oh fuck, they did it"?
It was, yeah, I mean, we were just as surprised. You know, we were told is that once the game has been reviewed, even if you try to rebuild it, everyone's going to remember the old. They're not going to look at the new. And Metacritic never forgets. When 14 came out, the original, and it was maybe people were like, okay, I think, you know, I'm a hardcore offline Final Fantasy guy, but I'll try out this new one. But then, okay, it's terrible. See, I knew it. It's terrible. They're not going to want to come back for a second time. It's like, no, I already played that. It was terrible. So yeah, we were afraid of that. But then, wow, it was just, I mean, servers breaking on, not breaking, but like servers getting so packed with people in those first few days, and then seeing the reviews come in, and you know, they saved, and then they start saying things like, you know, you saved the franchise, and you know, you saved the series, and I don't know, remembering what it was like, you know, at their launch of 1.0, and then just being able to, because who gets to re-experience a bad launch? It's something you don't get in the game industry. And
especially in MMOs.
And we did, and it was a great experience to be able to say, it was just that vindication of like all of that extra work that we had put in. It was what Yoshida-san had promised us. If we worked hard and we did this right, that in a year and a half's time, you know, we can do this. And a lot of people didn't believe him, and you know, a normal person probably wouldn't believe him. But I mean, maybe that's why we were able to do it, because all of the abnormals remained and made something that was, you know, literally impossible happen.
やっぱりサーバーがあまりにもその混雑してその遊べない、せっかくパッケージをお金を出して買ってきたのにゲームが遊べないとは何事だ、まあ、オンラインゲームだから当然サーバーに繋がらないと遊べないので、なんか評価とか以前の問題でその買ってもらったのに遊べない状況を作ってること自体が僕にとってはまあ、ショック、まあ、あんなに来るとはもちろん思ってなかったっていうのも要因ですけど、だから評価云々の前にまずちゃんとゲームに接続して遊べるようにしなきゃっていうことばっかりが当時の1ヶ月半ぐらい出荷を停止したりとか販売を停止したりとか、それしか全然覚えてないですね。
With most other genres, this would be the part of the story where we fade to black and roll credits, but such luxuries don't exist in the world of massively multiplayer online games. In fact, after the release of A Realm Reborn, or 2.0 as they call it internally, the team applied the same content-rich patching schedule they had undertaken with 1.0, releasing a significant 2.x patch to the game every 3 to 4 months. Over the next 2 years, these patches progressed the story of ARR, added in epic raids and new modes such as 72-player PvP battles. But just like before, while the team was working on these 2.x patches, they were concurrently building an updated version of the game, the first expansion pack, Heavensward.
Nice.
2014年の
So they're basically just doing the same thing again.
9月10月ぐらいかな、開発チームにも吉田さん申請したら楽になるって言ってませんでしたっけってバカ MMO これだけ巨大な規模の MMO は最初のエクスパンションパック出すところまでがスタートダッシュなんだよって言ってごめんねって
What was in our minds was, you know, not having another letdown. Don't take for granted that the rebuild was a success. We can't just expect our users to say, oh, they're going to release expansion so we can do whatever we want and doesn't matter, they'll buy it, ha ha ha. One good thing that came out of the failed launch is that it's instilled into the developers, all of the developers' minds that, you know, we have to always strive to be better. We can't let our guard down. It's in everyone's mind, and it's always lurking back there, and we don't want to repeat that. And because of that, everyone is like always on the top of their game.
Ultimately, for at least from the read that I get from the developers that are working on the game, is like it still remains so popular because of all the expansions that they continue to push out. Like, you see so much hype about a new Final Fantasy XIV expansion, you know? And it brings a whole lot of players back. It brings a whole lot of content creators back. And there's a whole influx of players. You know, when Asmongold jumps back on Final Fantasy XIV, the servers get wrecked again, you know? but everybody loves it because it brings so much hype and attention and love to the game. I feel like the developers' love for their game still is the driving force, and their continued hard work is the driving force behind its continued success as an MMO, unlike a lot of others. And I'm not saying that other developers aren't working hard or anything like that, but...
Is that still there even now? Because it's been 3.5 years.
Well, I mean, yeah, the old guard, yes, we all have that. We all have that. But it's not all the old guard anymore. People have moved off onto other projects. Some people have left the company to go freelance, explore new opportunities. A lot of new people have come in. A lot of people, don't remember what happened in 1.0 because they weren't
summer
there.
Children.
That's right, exactly. And us old timers can tell them, well, back in my day, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever. And sometimes it does feel like that. There's always the chance that you can just get too full of yourself and not do 100%, not learn from your mistakes, and that the community was like, no, we're done. We were lucky to be given a second chance. We were really lucky to have that second chance actually succeed. I don't know, third time, I don't know if I want to, press my luck any further. It's not a good, fun situation to be in. The things that I've learned over these past 7-8 years working on 11, the original and the new and the expansions, is something that I'm going to carry with me to all future projects, as it will with, all of the other devs that have done that. A piece of that Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, a piece of that, ARR and the expansions will be with all of them, and hopefully they'll be able to use that in all their future projects.
Heavensward was another win for the team. Critically praised and loved by the community, it helped push cumulative subscriptions for the game beyond 5 million. In fact, the amount of players in Eorzea has kept rising.
What are they on, like 30 million or something? That's
上がり下がりをし
insane.
ながら少しずつ右へ上がっていくっていうのが、あんまり他の MMO ではない曲線なのかもしれないですけど、とにかくゲームデザインでずっとこのファイナルファンタジー14っていうゲームをプレイし続けていなければついていけなくなるとか、なぜなら今本当にみんな忙しい。一つのゲームだけになんだろう、毎日ログインし続けられるわけじゃない。それはもともと MMO が大好きな僕ですらそうなので、そう考えた時に遊びたい時に遊んで、メジャーアップデートが来たら一気に遊んで、少し落ち着いて他のゲームも遊んだり、家族サービスをしたり、でまたメジャーが来たらそれでいいと思ってるし、これからの MMO はそうじゃないと多分やっていけない。
True. This is kind of a refreshing thing to hear from an MMO developer. Usually it's just how do we milk as much money or keep people playing as long as possible to appease the corporate blah blah blah, right? So it's definitely refreshing to hear them talk about life, about, hey, listen, we know you can't play it every day. We know, you're going to want to play other games, you're going to get bored of it and all that. So it's nice to hear them not be disheartened or they just stop working on it because their player base is dropping off or in between expansions or anything like that.
でやっぱり大きくゲーム1本分の新しい体験が来た時、全員集合して最新のファイナルファンタジーをプレイしてもらいたい。だからそれが基本ベースにあるので、やっぱり
It's like a new game every
上がり下が
time.
りはする。ただ評判を聞いてずっと増え続けていくっていうのが理想だと思ってるし、14はそれでやれてきてるので、ただもっともっと遊んでほしい、たくさんの人にと思ってるので、チャレンジをまだまだ続けたいとは思ってます。
The latest expansion pack, Stormblood, comes hot on the heels of 2 years worth of 3.x patches, which have added fresh storylines and features to Heavensward.
Spoilers.
With it comes increased level caps, new dungeons, jobs, raids, zones, and some changes to the battle system. Stormblood will also mark the end of the game's lifetime on the PlayStation 3, but of course in the intervening years, the team has since launched the game on the PlayStation 4. Final Fantasy XIV had been a financial disaster for Square Enix. Subscriptions were turned off for most of the 1.x era, and the company poured significant funds and trust into the team tasked with its rebirth. The importance of this franchise to the company is mirrored by its importance to its players and of course the development team. This is a group of people who have dedicated years into ensuring that this game came back from the dead. Yoshida-san says he only needs about 4 hours sleep a night. I asked him about his social life. He says he doesn't really remember anything except work. He speaks fondly of those players that stuck with the team, those warriors of light that were saved at the end of 1.0. His respect for fans of this game and all Final Fantasy fans is clear to see. The realm of Eorzea is totally different now. A bustling, vibrant place full of stories, quests and adventurers. A world expanded upon even more with the release of Stormblood. But the old world, the story of 1.0, the fall of Dalamud and the people who survived the cataclysm will always live on. Those who were there, be them player or developer, will forever be bound together by that experience.
Instead of a lot of games will create these myths for their games, we have a myth that actually happened, but because it happened so long ago and only a few people saw it, most of the new players now, they look back and it's like, did it really happen? What is this battle with the White Raven and Riven Road? And it was just this grand battle, you know, all different levels and this, you know, dimensional rifts, and it sounds like an actual myth, but it's like, it's not just a story we made up for this, you know, it's actually happened. And you know, as the game progresses and new players come on, I mean, it's further and further back in history that this really cool thing happened. And so that visual works cutscene, I mean, I remember, watching it and just like, you know, goosebumps all over. I mean, I'm watching with all of these other, you know, like the directors and producers and, you know, the director of the visual works, and we're all sitting there and they're all watching it, and I'm just watching, and like I've got like tear in my eyes, like, oh, yeah, it's dust. And I mean, it was that powerful because it kind of encompassed not only, you know, what the character went through, it was an image of what we as developers have done as well. At the beginning, we're all, you know, let's do this, it's gonna be an adventure. We're like that first cutscene where, you know, with the party that goes out and they have their guild leave and they go out and they fight the Morble, and that's us at the beginning. And then the release hits you and you're down. I mean, then you have that cutscene where it's just like, everyone's working together to make something new, and then it failed, but no, it didn't fail, and you're just, and all of the memories of, you know, the past years, the good and the bad kind of all come together, and, you know, just so overwhelming. And that's, you know, pretty much the reaction then when we finally release it to the public that we got. I mean, so many people, I just remember the forums, checking out the forums that day. I mean, people were just like, I've been in tears all day, I've watched it 10 times. And it wasn't just, you know, the development team, it's that you have this hardcore group of very, very loyal fans that, you know, they believed in the game, we believed in the game, we stuck together, we were able to build, you know, this new thing that's not just for us, but it's opening up the doors for a whole new audience. But, you know, remember, we were there first. We're the ones that, you know, that stood by it, and we're the ones that did this. And those warriors of light that were, you know, the before Meteor guys. Yoshida-san in interviews will always talk about, you know, those people that supported us and we couldn't have done it. I mean, it sounds so cliche. Oh, we couldn't have done it without your support. Literally, we could not have done it. Literally, we could not have done it. I mean, if there was, those people hadn't remained, we just would be like, no, let's forget it. We're not going to do it. We wouldn't have put as much effort in. It would have just been, okay, yeah, whatever, let's just free to play, you know.
Back when, you know, 1.0 came out, and could you have imagined that 3-4 years later you'd be in a fan event with thousands of people in Germany?
No, I don't really imagine that. Yeah, I mean, one day, I mean, yeah, we were, I mean, always saying one day we want to run a big fun event. We were, I mean, actually dreaming to have a huge fun festival in the future at that time. But actually, yeah, we made it. So yeah, that was really great.
Some dreams come true.
Yes, yes.
まあ強調したいことがあるとすれば、その初日に 1.0 の話をしてましたけど、誰か一人そのもしくはデベロップメントチームがということではなくて、やっぱり今でも本当に会社自体の大きな過ちが、その全ての悪い部分がファイナルファンタジー14で出てしまったっていう、まあそれはリリースって意味のデータではなくて、それが全て爆発したのが ファイナルファンタジー14のオリジナルバージョンだったんじゃないかって本当に強く思ってるので、でも今その14のリバンプを会社全体としてやって15がリリースできて、スクエニは少しずつ変わってきたと思ってるし、もっと変わらなきゃいけないと思ってる。もしかすると少し安心してる人たちも今いるのかもしれないけど、まだまだ変わらなきゃいけないと思ってるので、なんかそのあたりがうまく伝わってるといいなとは思います。これはなんだろう、スクエアエニックスっていう会社が作るゲームに期待してもらってる人が世界中にたくさんいると思うんですけど、僕もそうだったから、でもまだまだスクエアエニックスってこのレベルじゃないじゃん、もっと上いけるじゃんって思ってくれてるはずなので、そのためにはもっと変わらなきゃいけないし、チャレンジもしなきゃいけないと思ってるので、そういった要素も今回のそのお話でうまく伝わってくれると嬉しいかなとは思います。僕らはそういう
I think that's one of the most important points too about a company, or at least a company doing creative works or anything like that, is you always have to keep moving. Like you can't become complacent. You can't sit there and, you know, soak in the success of this one thing that you've done. You have to keep the ball rolling. You have to keep striving for a greater thing. Your next thing has to be greater than the one before. I think that's the only way you make progress.
つもりでやってますっていうメッセージが少しでもね出ていけばいいなとは。プレイヤーの皆さんと会社が望めばそうなってると思いますし、プレイヤーの皆さんや会社が他のゲームを作れって望んでくれれば他のゲーム作ってるかもしれないですし、両方一緒に同時にやってるかもしれないし、僕は少なくともスクエアエニックスって今会社のスタッフで自分の会社なわけではないので、やっぱプレイヤーの皆さん、ファンの皆さんがスクエアエニックスに何を期待するのかっていうのを会社がどう考えるかだと僕は思ってるんで、もちろん自分で作ってみたいゲームがないわけじゃもちろんないですけど、好きなものを作りたいならね、会社辞めて自分で会社作ればって思っちゃうんで。
As far as I'm aware, I think he still works for.
頑張ろうと思います。
He still works on 14.
そろそろね、プロデューサーとディレクターのどっちかは誰かやってくんねえかなって思いますけどね。
The tale of the death and rebirth of Final Fantasy XIV Online is a cautionary tale in corporate hubris. It's a story about the power of humility, respect, and unity. A fun story for those of us who knew nothing about it, cherished times for those who were fortunate enough to be there when it all happened, and a wonderful reminder of something we come across so often in life, the idea that reality can often be even more amazing than the fantasy.
It's very true. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty amazing example of what happens when you have bad management, bad project management versus actual competent project management. Wow, okay, that was super interesting, you know. Before I saw any of this, I had no idea. I didn't follow Final Fantasy XIV's journey or up until seeing these videos, so I didn't know about 1.0. I didn't know about the failure. But that's amazing how it's a pretty rare thing to see, you know, a game feel like that and then come back in the fashion that it is today. Like, that's insane. So hats off to the people at Square Enix for that. And hats off to Noclip for the documentary. That was cool. It was awesome. Well put together documentary. 3-part series. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I hope there's more to come in the tale of the development of Final Fantasy XIV. Hopefully nothing like 1.0 again. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Peace. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. It really helps with the algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new upload. Also, follow me on Twitch if you haven't yet. All the links are in the description below. Come say hi, hang out during streams. I hope to see some of you guys over there. Anyway, peace.